Hello everybody, welcome to race number 9. We have one more race in the series, and today we're at Spa, a very French racetrack. This racetrack was made in late 1800s, got popular in the early 1900s. That's about all the history I know, and it's used mainly for Formula cars, but as you can see, we are definitely not in Formula cars. This is now a 10 race season, and we have just one more race after this. And then the championship is up. Every participant who participated in over 50% of the races this season is going to get a little sticker, and the winner of the championship will get a trophy. We're going to try to get a photo of those for you guys when we start up the next season, which, by the way, I believe next season we're going to be doing a very mini season of like 3 races with the GTC Simsports news van. So that will definitely be fun. Rodan just absolutely plowing into the wall there. Hopefully that doesn't happen during the race. But here we are. We got practice. This series has been going very well. Coming to an end is crazy though, because it does not feel like it's already been 9 weeks. Wow, it's been 9 weeks since we first started the series. That's impressive. But we're coming to a close. It's going to be interesting. We have practice. We'll watch our current in first place sauce for this practice. Then we'll move on to qualifying and race number 1 and race number 2 as usual. Qualifying should start in just a few moments here actually. It's a 9:08. Usually to accommodate for a race starting at roughly 9:30. Qualifying starts at like 9:20 because it's like 10 more minutes of practice time. Definitely are supposed to start at least the qualifying like at 9, but some people get in later, and accommodating for them is important because it's a fun group, not a bunch of sticklers, if that makes sense. We can look at the hood view of Sauce. You had to get very close to that wall in Spa. And getting a little bit of slide there. Getting a very high speed run through that first, cornering area. It's very difficult because you gotta hop down, get very close right up to the wall, and then you have to cut both apexes so you can turn it into somewhat of a straight line. And these cars are going what, 100 something miles an hour? Very difficult to keep control without sliding out. You think it's going to be hard to control an F1 car like that? Well, this car is much older. Alright, it looks like at 9:15 we are on to qualifying, giving us 10 minutes to qualifying, a little bit of wiggle room in between, and then our race at 9:30. So we can see all the drivers beginning to leave the pits, moving on to qualifying. Mike Kirby here in the 47 Shelby. Very nice colored green, I must add. Game Boy passing very quickly. Obviously, someone has a faster time. Whoa, braking very late. Kirby braking very late. Turns him off. Just the qualifying jitters, maybe. Alright, we got 8.5 minutes of the qualifying and move on to our race. And qualifying is officially in overtime. Got just a few seconds left here for anybody to get their laps finished, and then to move on to our racing segments. Didn't get to take the news van around the track today, sadly, but hopefully that's something I can implement officially next season. Alright, Kirby just pulling off to the side here as the just slamming into the wall. That's what happens when qualifying is over, and it's like, well, I'm not going to finish this lap anyways, and we're all back here, back in pits. Doesn't look like we're going to have any last minute finishers on qualifying today. Oh, looks like we might have one. Two. Are they gonna make it? And around the corner, one of them slams. I don't know what's happening. He's in the grass. Alright, there is Drillin crossing the line. Braking, because that makes sense. Gunner. Dean. Didn't move up at all. Game Boy. Wow, Dean qualified 7th place. That is only 4 seconds behind leader, but still, 7th place is pretty low for Dean. This is not the end of the race. I don't know why Game Boy is doing donuts, but donuts are fun. Can't blame them. I must compliment a set of course on their smoke field. It's very good for the time. And we are lined up. Looks like Racebrick, of course, has a very high ping, as usual. So, it looks like we got Gunner in 12th, Tom Spangler in 11th, Moto in 10th, Mike Kirby in 9th, Eric Gould in 8th, Dean in 7th, Game Boy in 6th, Drillin in 5th, Racebrick in 4th, Rodan in 3rd, Pro Darwin in 2nd, and Sauce in 1st. So obviously Pro and Sauce are going to be very far ahead most of the time. It might have a little bit of battling between them, but from what we've seen, it looks like if one of them gets ahead of the other one, they're going to stay ahead of the other one. There's definitely going to be lots of movement, probably some crashing in this group of 6, with Dean, Air, Game Boy, Drillin, Racebrick, and Rodan. Partially because Racebrick is so is like in the front of the pack of that section, and he has bad ping, and it's gonna definitely cause some issues. But also because these guys tend to bounce around quite a bit. Although that will end up leaving Ursa Room probably starting at Dean and Air to be able to pass, which they'll either pass that segment of confusion right up front, pass it successfully, or they will fall victim to and it'll leave it open for the others. And we're off. Right off the bat, saw some ping lag from Racebrick, but it looks like he's starting up further front, getting on Pro's tail. Sauce was able to cut under everybody, but didn't slow down enough, so he's way out past the apex. Whoa, bouncing off Pro. Bouncing off Pro hits Rodan, and looks like Pro spun out and is still spinning out. Pro's like, you know, if I'm spinning out, I'm going to keep spinning out right in the middle of everybody. There was like cars acting like fidget spinners over there. But Dean, as I don't want me to say as I predicted, but as I predicted, Dean was able to pass that little segment of confusion there. So no longer in 7th, but in 2nd. Very slowly gaining on Sauce, I might say. It won't last though, it's just because of that better section right there. So after all that crashing, we have Sauce in 1st, Dean 2nd, Drill in 3rd, Racebrick 4th, Gunner 5th, Kirby 6th, Rodan 7th, Spangler 8th, Game Boy 9th, Aircooled 10th, Moto 11th, and Pro in 12th. So it looks like Pro's little bouncy maneuver didn't help him out so much. Very scattered leaderboard, and Sauce is leaving everybody behind him as usual. Let's see if we can get back to Dean where it's a little bit more exciting. Actually, let's stay on Villain. Right on still. Looks like Dean is doing a good job just steadily pushing away from Dillon. Pro is starting to pass people. I kind of want to go back and see Pro just slide past everyone. He's probably going to have a little bit more problem with air as it was also pushed back. There's Pro back there. Spangler passing Moto. Oh, Sauce set the fastest lap. There's Pro. Whoa, something's going on up there. Game Boy passing Gunner. And then Game Boy braking very hard and turning in early, sitting a little further out. Gunner having a less superior line, and Aircooled is passing him now, with Pro not far behind. And there goes Pro on the outside as of now, coming from the inside. Looks like he's now in 9th. He's doing a very good job catching up to both Air and Game Boy. Let's get on Pro. Here he is. Game Boy and air cooler are of similar skill, so Pro is gonna have to pass one of them. Is gonna be a little bit more difficult than someone like Gunner or Spangler. Although it looks like air cool is taking a very wide outside line where he's basically just drifting. Able to avoid hitting Pro though, leaving Pro in 8th, air cool now in 9th. Pro has 2.4 seconds to catch up to Game Boy. We got 10 minutes to go on the clock. I wonder if Pro's going to be able to make up 7 to 8 positions in these 10 minutes. It is definitely a possibility, but it's still 22 seconds and also 7 cars to pass. Go back and take a look at what Dean has going on. Saw sending his fastest lap again, and wow, Drillin is really close, and so is Racebrick. They are incredibly close together. Leaderboards have a little bit of glitching as some car is past the finish line. That's okay. Dean really sliding it out, taking a very wide corner. Not superior to the tight, concise corner Drillin had, which leaves Drillin on the inside, trying to pass. Is he going to do it? It's going to be very difficult. They're going side by side into this corner area of Spa. It's like Drillin very wisely backed out of it, leaving Dean in second. Whoa, Racepick back there getting fidgety, not sure where he wants to go. Knowing he wants to pass Drillin, really giving Drillin some tricky moments there, sending him off into the grass, but that bought Dean an entire second and a half. Racebrick is right on Drillin's tail, and Drillin's catching up. If we look back down the leaderboard, we see Pro is like 5 seconds behind Kirby. Nice to see Kirby doing so well. Racebrick at a possible disadvantage because of his ping, but still definitely was putting up quite a fight and probably will continue to do that. Dean taking the outside line, sliding quite a bit. Not quite a bit, but definitely sliding, slowing him down a bit. Racebrick really struggling to catch up there. You see a little bit of lag and glitching going on. We saw a little bit of a wheel whip there as he was entering a drift accidentally. Pro apparently made up those 5 seconds in under a minute, and he's now in 6th place with passing Game Boy and Kirby. He's now only 13 seconds behind Dean, which is crazy because also an entire 11 seconds ahead of these guys. Drillin is really close. Really close to Dean. Trying to pass on the outside. Didn't work out. He pulled back in, get a little bit more of a draft. Try it again. Oh. It's going to be interesting. Trying to pass again on the outside. The last corner and chicane of Spa. Pulling behind, realizing that's not going to work. He's getting close. The main thing he needs to do is get under Dean, stop trying to get around him. So although Dean does seem to slip up quite a bit, still running lots of risks there. And there was a slip up. Sliding off the track, but he was able to keep it under control. Get back on. That did definitely slow Dean down quite a bit. Now Drillin is just 0.2 seconds behind him. Again, trying to get onto the outside, braking earlier. finally trying to get onto the inside. Yeah, 5 minutes to go. And looking back, the leaderboard, Pro is still in 6th and has 4 seconds to make up. Way off the track. I don't know what's happening there.
I want the pickle for it.
Looks like Drillin is steadily catching up, back up to Dean with the occasional close-up when he breaks later, but he seems to really want to go towards the outside of each turn, rather than go to the inside and get underneath. And it seems to be that the Bizzarini, which is what Dean's driving, is much quicker during the corners, better at quick maneuvers blocking, so Drillin is at a disadvantage when he's trying to pass on the outside of a turn. And he'd be probably better served to get under him, go to the inside, catch up, try to match the pace of Dean, and then get under him with, you know, without causing a wreck, because that definitely could happen. Looks like Pro has still about 4 seconds to make up before he can get to 5th place, and only has 3 minutes left. He was doing fairly well, but something happens, and looks like Pro actually only has to make up about 1 second. So that was interesting. Drillin can keep his throttle down and keep his car under control. Unlike Dean, whoa, just barely missing the wall there. Cutting that apex like crazy. But there's 2 minutes and 45 seconds left. If Dean is able to hold off Drillin, which it looks like he can totally get a 2nd position. Even if he doesn't get past by Drillin, he can get a podium still. This can definitely put his championship rating up. Not gonna win, but he could get 4th, maybe 5th. I'll have to look back at the charts. Drillin feels how close he is, and I can tell he's getting a little frustrated. There was a perfect slip-up by Dean, sliding out further out than he intended. Could have been taken advantage of if Drillin was closer, but he wasn't. A slide towards the inside, interesting. Dean seems to slide a lot, and those leaves and grass particles are going the wrong direction for how the wind and air travels. Just noticed that. A lot of sliding from Dean still. His tires must be very warm, which makes it harder and harder for him to keep his car under control. And he's got 1.5 minutes left. Got to keep that car under control, keep his braking under control, and he's got to make sure that he's not gonna make his tires so warm that he has no traction. Because that can be really bad if he has little traction, because it heats, slides off into the grass, and then he's got hot, sticky tires with grass all over them. That is not going to be good for traction at all. But it looks like he's got 1 minute left here. He's going to have 1 more lap after this, I think. And then he's going to seal his place in 2nd. Looks like Drillin is slowly falling behind. Except when he brakes later in some of these turns, he really does catch up. Ooh. He got... That was obviously chicane, so he was getting under, but to no avail. Looks like Pro moved up to 5th and is fighting back and forth with Rodan. You can see him right back there. That's Rodan and Racebrick, or sorry, Racebrick and Pro. Race Brick. Oh, that's Race Brick, and Broden and Pro are behind him. Okay. Lots of flip-flopping going on there. Dean again going off the track immensely. Whoa! Must have slowed down while I was paying attention to the leaderboard. Drillin is going on the inside now. We are in overtime. This is the final lap. Always comes down to the wire with Dean. Braking earlier, coming from the outside. An interesting strategy. Might have worked better if he broke a little bit earlier, pulled off to the inside, and is able to get under Drillin. But it looks like he was able to just slide right in front of Drillin without him even noticing. But that sliding, oof, he's got to get that on control because Drillin almost got under him there. And he's just barely touched the grass. That could have been very bad. Last lap jitters. Drillin getting under him. This is inside. If I were Dean right now, I would not power. I would brake a little bit, coast, maybe pull it to the inside. Not the bumping. I wouldn't have done the bumping. If anything, that speeds him up a little bit, as Drillin was able to keep that under control. Yep. Now Dean's just got to get under him, and the race is almost over, so it's going to be difficult. Cobra versus Bizzarini. Much tighter line by Dean, but he's at sliding did not do him good. Looks like Dean is not going to be able to catch up to him unless there's some mistake where he does something spectacular in these final two corners. Whoa! Racebrick is right behind him, just came out of nowhere. This could be bad for Dean. Dean could mess up his podium. Racebrick could mess up the podium. With that high ping, you can see him just kind of jerking around. Oof. Looks like he's able to keep ahead of Racebrick, but he is not passing Drillin. He is getting third place for race number 1. Yep. Third position. And the clouds of smoke and crashing and tire marks. Sauce celebrating his victory again. And that was the end of race number 1, but we have race number 2 coming here in just a few moments. And then that will wrap up our night for race number 9. Stay tuned for the next few moments. We will be on to race number 2 for tonight. Alright, and we are almost on to race number 2. Our inverted lineup for those who did finish. Looks like we have Mike Kirby in first place. Good for him. This is going to be interesting. I say this every week. But with an inverted lineup, the faster guys are in the back, and they're going to want to pass the slower guys in the front. And that's going to be interesting. Could cause some crashing. Always makes the second race a little bit more interesting than the first. So we have Mike Kirby in first, Air in second, Game Boy third, Rodan in fourth, Pro in fifth, Racebrick sixth, Dean seventh, Drillin eighth, Sauce in ninth, Tom in 11th, and Tom in 10th. Moto in 11th, and Gunner in 12th. We're going to move up to one of these guys. Yeah, we'll stick with Sauce and capture everything from the back. All right. And they're off. Lots of tire spin, lots of smoke. Whoa, going 3 wide in that corner, very tight, touching of course, bouncing back and forth. That fights Raceberg rode in. Game Boy almost did cause a second crash trying to get back on the track, hitting each other. Very great of them. 3 wide down the straightaway, going into 2 wide. Mike Kirby is still in first, Air second, Dean third. Sauce is in fifth right now, trying to pass on the outside of Pro. This is very strange, not even close on the track. Dean getting very close to passing both Kirby and Air. Air is on the tail of Kirby, and Air has passed Kirby. Going into this corner is going to be very interesting. Air-cooled sliding, slowing everyone down. Air first, Mike second, Dean third, Pro fourth, Drill in fifth, Game Boy sixth, and Sauce seventh. Looks like he has some issues there. Moto right behind Sauce. Air-cooled now passing Game Boy on the inside. A very, very good pass. Very tightly packed section here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all in a row. Very close. A little bit of separation now, but it's interesting. As I was explaining before with the second race, with the inverted lineup, it always makes this very interesting because it really picks up the pace on the slower guys, while also the faster guys really want to pass everyone. Dean slid out as usual and lost position, now in fourth. Mike Kirby going a very, very close to actually on the apex line, leaving everyone else behind, sliding around quite a bit actually. Air-cooled still in first, good for him. Looks like Rodan had to go or a disconnection. He left. Whoa, Mike Kirby off. Must have touched grass, sending him back into third. Can he get in front of Dean? Looks like Dean's gonna also pass him. Mike's got to get back into the line. There he goes. Touching grass again. He's being a little bit too ginger with the steering wheel. There are cars that like to slide, but they don't slide that much unless you've been in grass, which he just full sent into, going from first to seventh that quickly. Must be a sad day. And Moto thinking we're in Formula Drift right now. Moto heard Formula cars on Spa. He thought, okay, so that must mean our cars turn into Formula 1 or Formula Drift cars, Formula D cars. As you can see, that's not how it works, and he did not pull off a very successful drift. But anyway, we're back to air-cooled. First Pro in second, Dean in third, Drillin in fourth, Sauce in fifth. Sauce can really go passing drilling. He's got about 11.5 minutes left. Air-cooled has the fastest lap. Sometimes that pressure is able to looks like Sauce is passing drilling. Sometimes the pressure of having like a bunch of guys behind you makes you speed up like a solid amount where you get to set faster laps than everybody. But Pro is really close to passing. Once Pro gets ahead, he's probably going to get like at least 10 seconds ahead of everybody by the end of the race. And same as Sauce. He only has a few seconds to make up, and he's just got to get past Trillin and Dean before it becomes a challenge, or at least a solid challenge. Right now, he's just having a little bit of issues trying to pass in the outside of Trillin. Very bold, but he does have the inside of the next corner. Whoa, Trillin did not like that. Sending Sauce back in the fifth. Pro is really on air-cooled tail right now. Drillin sliding off, or sorry, Dean sliding off. So that was a very eventful segment there. Drillin actually, for just a few moments there, was able to pass Sauce. Lots of back and forth, lots of off into the grass, lots of over the rumble strip action. Dean over there making his own track. Very interesting. Whoa, Pro braking earlier than Sauce. Sauce braking a little bit later. Drillin. Okay, the smoke effects are a little bit overboard, but Dean definitely was drifting that corner for a few seconds. Yeah, Pro first. Shocker. Sauce second, also shocker. Drillin actually has the fastest lap and is in third place, with Dean close behind in fourth. Air-cooled was bumped out of his position with a little bit of side check action in between him and Pro. So that leaves him in fifth position behind Dean, who is again way over the rumble strip, just sliding around. I think Dean's having a fun time with his Bizzarini, just kind of sliding everywhere. You know it's manageable. Pro's been managing with the Bizzarini just fine, not sliding everywhere. We have just under 5 minutes left. And funny, the lead cars aren't 10 seconds ahead of everybody else. Although it looks like they are slowly going to get there. Alright. I think this is third to last lap going into chicane. Whoa! Almost a bump there from Sauce. The last lap going through the chicane was very entertaining. That was probably the most entertaining lap of the entire season. And I will definitely be putting that in the season recap along with all these entertaining crashes and weird flip-flops we've been having. Pro over the apex. Dean way over the apex, losing like all of his momentum. I do not know what's going on there. But these cars are extremely spread out now. Like, extremely spread out. Which is good for them, but less exciting for us. Oop, Sauce right next to Pro. A very smooth pass. And he does have the inside, making keeping first place much easier. Oh, Sauce in first, Crow in second, Trillin in third, Dean in fourth. Looks like there's a little bit of excitement here with Race Break in eighth. Whoa, Mike Kirby just kind of really sending it hard out. And then not seem necessary, but Race Break is trying to take the inside, bumping Mike. Whoa! That's what Ping will do to you. You saw that hop and just going through the wall. That really sealed Race Break and Kirby's place way in the back at the back. Your Game Boy here a solid 5 seconds behind Air. Dean trying to catch up to Drill in here. Seems to be that Dean has these very similar battles each time. The two leaders, 5 seconds ahead of everybody else. Seems to happen quite often. Pro just 0.6 seconds behind Sauce. The chicane is going to make passing interesting. Now a full second. Nope. Closing in again. Sauce sitting fastest lap. Dean is now 2 0.1 sec or 0.5 seconds, sorry, behind Drilling. This is the final lap. Weirdly enough, we have Rodan 4 laps behind everybody else. I do not know what. Oh, right. Rodan left. That's why. Dean only 1.2 seconds behind Trillon now. Wait, what was happening here? Did he just go? Okay. Really, Race Frick? You can't blame all of that on Ping. Okay, I don't. Maybe you can. Because he's going backwards now. And going into rolls. That is some high ping type stuff.
Okay.
Yep, Racetrack went back to pits. Alright, Kirby is 7th place, 27 seconds behind Zoss. Almost 10 seconds behind everybody else. Let's see what's going on in his world. For just a few seconds before we see the finishers. Lots of tire smoke. Who's it gonna be? Sauce first place with a new fastest lap. Pro in second place. Really close behind. Drillin in third place. Dean a marginal amount behind him in fourth. And just a few seconds behind, we have Air Cooled in 5th. Game Boy in 6th. And we're going to have to wait like another 4 seconds for anyone else to show up. Mike Kirby, 7th place. And everyone else is so far behind. Okay. So, did Sauce? Yeah, I think Sauce got first place both these times, so he won the entire night. Really, I think he's in first place on the championship. Game Boy is doing donuts like he just won the, I'm an American. I really am an American. I was about to say Daytona 500. This is Spa. But yeah, he's doing donuts like he just won the Daytona 500. And he finished 6th. But nothing wrong with doing donuts. Everyone loves donuts. Alright, people are starting to leave. We'll have the leaderboard, the official results for tonight up. We got one race left in the series. Next week is the final race we are thinking about doing in Bermgarten. I hope to get a little bit of history on that beforehand. It is good to keep in mind though. It is final season for me, so can't promise much there. But at the end of this season, we're gonna do some practice mock seasons, kind of just some racing to figure out what we want to do next. But we're thinking about doing GP Simsports News Van mini series, which will be very interesting, and I will definitely be racing in that one. probably racing and streaming. So, that was GP Simsports News Van. That was GP Simsports News. Sorry. GP Simsports News. Race number 9 at Spa. Catch you guys next week at Herb Garden.